Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Safeguarding Partnership event to be held on October the 15th. We thought it might be better to run through with you the key highlights of what's going on in the partnership rather than send you reams and reams of paper. So I hope this will suffice. If you want any more details about what's going on in any aspect of the business, just contact me or any member of my team and we will send you further details. Okay, so let's start at the bottom of the left here. These are the case review groups. SPR is the Safeguarding Practice Review group in relation to children. Safeguarding Adult Review groups in relation to adults. In the Safeguarding Practice Review group in children's, we have one live Safeguarding Practice Review underway at the moment. We aim to sign that review off in November by the Safeguarding Practice Review group and hopefully onwards to the SLG in December. We also have one unpublished Safeguarding Practice Review, and that review is not published due to criminal proceedings pending. Now, we have delivered a whole new neglect strategy, created new tools as a result of that SPR, so we have actually delivered all of our actions in relation to that. We have 19 cases in the archives, i.e. cases that this review group has looked at and considered whether they meet the criteria for Safeguarding Practice Review, and we will be retrospectively looking at those cases over the remainder of this financial year. Okay, so that's the Safeguarding Practice Review group. The Safeguarding Adult Review group has 2 Safeguarding Adult Reviews underway, and we aim again to sign those off in November and December. There's a further 8 in the archives, i.e. the 8 cases that have been considered, and we're about to initiate a scoping exercise to look at another case that's been referred to us by the police. Now, if you want any details about any aspect of this work and you're not involved in those meetings, please give me a ring because I can talk you through any aspect of it, particularly the question about the impact of learning from reviews. We can explain all that to you anytime. Okay. Now, the next group is this one, 2 groups. We're calling them the Advancing Safeguarding Practice Group in Adults and the Advancing Safeguarding Practice Group in Children. All of these groups are delivering the strategic plan, and they're delivering certain elements of the strategic plan, and that's how I've structured this presentation. The adults group is currently working on evaluating the multi-agency referral tool, which is for adults who do not consent and do not want to cooperate with helping services, and there's still worries about them and they don't meet the Section 42 criteria for formal statutory investigation. That's gathering ground. It's doing really well, and this group wants to evaluate the impact of the tool in the next 2 quarters. It's also going to initiate some work on self-neglect to make sure we have a multi-agency approach to that. It's delivering on multi-agency case audits, and it's going to be looking at the core safeguarding data set from adult social care to begin looking at data analysis, which is really, really good. The Advancing Safeguarding Practice Group in Children's is also looking at multi-agency case audit, and those audits are based on the criteria in Ofsted's evaluation criteria. It also will be looking at, or is looking at, the front door and what's happening there in terms of a project that my team has been coordinating over the last 18 months. And with that piece of work, we're hoping to have a series of workshops next quarter to get the whole sort of protocol reviewed, etc. Lots of detail to share with you about that one. It will be going about the business of promoting a new neglect strategy that it has developed. The threshold document it has reviewed already and will be promoting that, and also the use of a new wellbeing tool, which is about early intervention and approaching sensitive areas with parents and carers. And it too will be looking at the core child protection data set, and Sandra Davies takes the lead on that with Children First. Okay, so the Learning and Development Group is ably chaired by Janine Edwards, who's our Learning and Development Officer, and you can ask her any questions about that, either on the day or at any point between now and then, not a problem. The last meeting was very interesting because it actually looked at a concept that's emerging from the Safeguarding Practice Review that we're currently working on. And here's a quote for you to think about, which is, efficient information sharing is not the same as effective communication. And they were asked to discuss that. And it really generated a huge amount of very interesting insights into how we work together and how we communicate together. And I'm hoping that when the SPR is published, that the SPR will do the same. And what they came up with is ideas about tools to enable people to function well in the multi-agency environment. Simple tools around, how to conduct yourself at meetings, how to prepare for meetings, simple things like that. And also to having the tools available on a website. So we've had some great ideas for that. So we're coming up with that. But essentially, when we're looking at the Safeguarding Practice Review, we're thinking really about how you create a psychologically safe environment for partners to function really well in, so that they can challenge effectively, and also if they have any doubts about what's going on, that they've got somewhere that they can talk to people about it. So that's the Learning and Development group. The SCEG group is the Safeguarding Children from Exploitation group. And that is currently looking at ensuring we deliver risk management plans for children who do not meet the criteria for statutory intervention, i.e. threshold levels 3 and 4, but who actually meet the threshold level 2, early intervention. We want to make sure those children are getting risk management plans. Our aim was that every single child that comes to our attention will get a risk management plan, but work is on the way to make sure that happens. We've heard a lot about the new Exploitation and Youth Justice team, and this group and the SPR group are very impressed with that team, and we cannot emphasize enough how important it is for that team to continue, because it's done really, really good work with children affected by knife crime particularly, and county lines and gang life, etc. It will be looking at NRMs, making sure we avail of NRMs, and looking at data around RHIs, return home interviews as well. Making sure we bed down the transitions protocol, so when young people who are affected by exploitation of any form, when they mature into adulthood, we know what to do, and we have something available for them when they mature into adulthood. We developed an early help workstream, which was ably chaired by Michael Jarrett, who unfortunately is leaving us. And we recognised at that point that work is better governed within the Safeguarding Children Education Settings subgroup here on the right. And so we're negotiating that transitions of that work into that group shortly. But that early help workstream is all about looking at young people who are missing education for any reason at all. So prolonged absences, long-term exclusions, permanent exclusions, NEET children, all those children are very much at risk of exploitation. And it's about making sure we put those risk management plans in place for each and every child who is missing education. So a major, major task for this group, the Safeguarding Children Education Group. And a big thanks to Michael Jarrett and all the partners who worked with him on getting us to this point. Okay, now the Safeguarding Children Education Group hasn't met for a while yet, because Kate Duffy, when she left, it kind of went into abeyance a little bit. And because we've recognised the gap we've identified in SCEG, and also as part of the rapid review process, it kind of reinforced the need for this group here to start meeting up again. And the Children First are looking at, because it used to be led by the Director of Children's Services, it's an obvious lead. So we will be working with Children First and with the local authority to make sure that that group has an appropriate chair, and that will be set up fairly soon. And Jatinder Matharu is very instrumental in making that happen. Thanks to Jatinder for that. Now the other group is the new Operational Safeguarding Risk group, and I know you'll say, what the hell is that? And essentially what's happened was, when COVID first hit us, you'll remember around about March last year, we set up a multi-agency group for operational managers to come together and share the risks that they were managing around safeguarding. And it turned out to be quite successful and quite instrumental in creating a very live risk log and that risk log was shared with SLG as and when urgent things arose. So it actually was proving to be very helpful for people, and I think people found it very supportive. And we continue to meet at intermittent intervals. We hadn't really set the sort of frequency and tablets with stone yet. We had one for adults and one for children. We'll probably look at the whole risk thing together going forward. So I've taken soundings from the SLG and the tactical group and most of the partners, and there's general agreement that this is a useful group and people feel that it's valuable in identifying and sharing the risks, and it's a neutral place where people can share their concerns. So it's going to continue, but it'll have to change its form. It'll be no longer a COVID-19 group, and I've just given it a temporary title there, Operational Safeguarding Risks Group. It'll probably do very similar things to what the COVID-19 group did, but it is a very good forum for partners to share their concerns about risk, really. So that's the first meeting has been set up in November, and all the relevant partners have been invited to attend, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for it to continue. Okay, so moving upwards, the Pan Berkshire groups. There's a child exploitation group which is led by Slough, and Emma Fadipe is the coordinator for that group. She's our contextual safeguarding lead. And that's going to be looking at the assessment tool that we're using, the risk analysis and assessment tool for children at risk of exploitation, to include things like knife crime, etc., which is good. There's also 2 policy groups and a new Section 11. Well, it's not a new, but we have a Section 11 group, which Debbie Hartrick and one of the managers in West Berkshire are co-chairing, and it's refreshed, and it is refining what it does, making it a bit more lean and a bit more functional. So that seems to be a really good development. Thanks to Debbie for that. The tactical group, as its name implies, is made up of tactical level managers who will be receiving reports from these groups underneath, and also having some sort of super view over what we're doing, and also look at the risk log. And so, for example, the last meeting looked at the equalities review, and some ideas emerged from that about how we go about engaging the local community in that development. And then the SLG oversees all of that. So yeah, I just wanted to mention this, that on the 15th of August there was a serious knife crime incident involving several youths. There are 2 separate incidents, it would seem, one in Sippenham, one in Langley, and 2 of the children involved in the Sippenham case were notified to us, which automatically generates a rapid review, and the 3rd child was also notified to us, involved in a separate incident, it seems, in Langley on the same day. Those rapid reviews were carried out. They did not meet the criteria for safeguarding practice review, but it did actually instigate the idea of doing a retrospective analysis of all the knife crime rapid reviews we've carried out since working together 2018. We've done some work on that. As part of a safeguarding practice review we did a year ago, but we've had more since, so we think it would be really helpful to do that. We know that work is underway in West Berkshire, so we think it might be helpful to talk to them about what their experience is and what they're doing, and make sure we can add value to this work. Okay, thank you. Just a word on the risk log, and as I said earlier, it came out of the COVID-19 group, but it gets shared with the tactical group and with the SLG, and it makes a journey throughout the infrastructure to make sure everybody understands what the risks are and can contribute to it, really. And it's directly led by the SLG. Okay, so I think you can see from the papers that the main theme of the event on October the 15th is around how do we develop resilience and manage the safeguarding risks that we see every day in this unprecedented climate. How do we support each other with those issues? And everybody has got recruitment challenges at the moment. and everybody's got resource constraints, and they're very, very serious. So it's about looking at the risk log, thinking through how we support each other. Are there different ways of going about things? Is there something else that we could do? And perhaps make sure that the risk log is well informed, and maybe have a safeguarding partners agreed approach for resilience and recovery. This is a nice quote from Peter Drucker, a famous sort of management guru person. I'm not going to read it to you. There it is. So the point we're making is, are our priorities still the right ones? Are our activities in the strategic plan still the right ones, bearing in mind everything everybody's going through at the moment? So, yeah. Okay, so this are all our contact details. So if you have any questions about the event, or you want to know anything about any aspect of the business, just contact any one of us and we'd be happy to help. Okay, I'll see you on the 15th. Thank you.